It's your girl, VK Johannem, and I'm going to make a video about adopting additional magical systems. So, you've got the system that got you in to magic, and then at some point you may want to adopt an additional system, or an additional paradigm, an additional pantheon. Um, when I first started getting real results with spirit work, I was focused on Hecate and the Qliphoth. The entire Hecate and magic was an entire paradigm for me. I worked with Hecate, her spirits, her children, etc. And of course, the Qliphoth was an entire paradigm for me. So I had two paradigms: Hecate, Qliphoth. And like many beginners, once I started getting real results with these two paradigms, I wanted to try every paradigm. I self-initiated into Aztec sorcery, Hinduism, Ahrimanic sorcery, so on and so forth. I wanted to be involved with just every black magical paradigm I was familiar with, but I couldn't stick to them. I dropped Ahrimanic sorcery like a hot potato. Same with Lovecraftian magic and Aztec magic and more. I stayed true to the Qliphoth and Hecate, but I kept picking up these additional little side projects and just doing nothing with them and then leaving. And a lot of skilled new practitioners have a very similar story to tell. However, this eventually changed when I became much more mature as a person and more mature in my craft. I wound up, once again, adopting a bunch of new paradigms. Saturnian magic, the Tower of Crescent, the Simon Necronomicon, the Mysteries of Death. But this time, it's actually working. I'm not just picking shit up and dropping it anymore. I'm at a point where I can initiate into all these other systems and actually run with them and ascend big time within these systems, so on and so forth. But now that I'm more mature in my path, I'm also happen to be internet personality with a big enough following to where I get a lot of attention with every move that I make in the public eye. When I say in the public eye, I mean like on a public forum, not like everyone's heard of me or some shit. And every time I adopt a new system, or paradigm, or tradition, whatever you want to call it, there's a voice or two that rises up in protest. These voices coming from well-meaning friends who have my best interests at heart. And I get a lot of warnings and criticism for every tradition I adopt from at least one or more friends. You know, oh, this entire group of deities is just out to use you. Or you can't actually trust this spirit guide. This current only destroys people. You aren't good enough for this tradition. And I've accepted that that's just my lot in life. It's good that I have friends who want to look out for me, who want to prevent me from making a bad decision. But I'm not making bad decisions. I'm not biting off more than I can chew. And I'm not being stupid. even when I am quite head first. Um, some of my friends have been respectful about this, about their cautionary warnings. Others, not so much. But the point is, nowadays, I don't have paradigm ADD. I finally developed to a point where I can actually stick to something. And I might even advise you, if you are a new practitioner, to really put thought before you just try to initiate into an additional paradigm. I'm not saying you're like me. Maybe you are capable of being far more consistent than I was as a beginner. Keep in mind, I was a man with a sun in Aries, so, you know, we're great at igniting the torch, not keeping it burning. So it could be a personal problem for me and people like me. The point is, a lot of people have this sort of system ADHD when they first start, and they just pick up new systems and drop them without doing anything with them, when they could be focusing on the systems that they are actually going to stay true to in the long run. Now, with each new system, you get new guides, maybe new familiars, maybe a new patron or patroness, something like that. And they can give you insight regarding other traditions and the spirits you would be working with in these other traditions. But they'll only be giving you their personal opinions of the other entities. And what it really comes down to is communication with your higher self. I'm not saying don't trust your guides. I'm saying your guides are just people with opinions. And your higher self and your shadow and your spirit animal and your dragon and these parts of your soul, they are what truly know best for you. So you want to stay in contact with them. I know I'm just pointing out the obvious here. So I'm going to attach another subject that's fairly related, which is how the Qliphoth led me to the Sephiroth. Now, a lot of people who are Qliphothically focused, like me, buy into this very dualistic narrative where the Sephiroth is your enemy. The tree of death and tree of life are in a death match forever, and you gotta destroy the tree of life, and the tree of life is your enemy. It's the false light, and it wants to keep you in prison, and and none of it's true. It was the spirits of the Qliphoth who led me to the Sephiroth. It started right after I initiated through Nehemoth, the first Qliphothic sphere. So I'm chilling out. I'm in Nehemoth. I just arrived, and I'm surrounded by the spirits of Nehemoth. These skeletal figures in black cloaks, and they're surrounding me. And I'm like, here we are. And they're like, first thing they say to me, we can show you how to initiate through Malkuth. Malkuth is the first sphere of the Sephiroth. I instantly said, I don't want to do that. They said, come with us, dude. And I wound up getting initiated through Malkuth. Now I've initiated through the entire Sephiroth. Again, Jehovah and archangels do not own the Sephiroth at all. The Sephiroth and the Qliphoth are just one tree. Malkuth and the Nehemoth have the same power and force. You've heard my spiel about that 1,000 times. My point is, the spirits of the Qliphoth very well might advise you to go through the Sephiroth when they see fit, and I do find it quite beneficial to do both. And archangels like Gabriel, Raziel, and Michael would be more than happy to tell someone who they're guiding how to initiate through the Qliphoth and how to see through the bullshit religious dogma about the Qliphoth. Just like demons will help you initiate through the Sephiroth and help you see through the White Lodge propaganda about the Sephiroth. I do have an Egremor, which lays out a praxis of initiating through the Sephiroth, and in this practice it only calls on demonic spirits, infernal spirits. You will initiate through the entire Sephiroth just by working with Hecate, Chernobog, and some Qliphothic entities. I'll link that in the description below. But of course, you are more than free to find your own way to initiate through the Sephiroth. You don't really need anyone's help. Which is not to say that my rituals aren't awesome. Anyways, have a great night and enjoy your immortality.